theories of disease causation. Um, we are looking at the explanations for why diseases occur. Okay, why do diseases occur? How do they occur? That's what we look at when we talk about theories of disease causation. So we have four major theories here, but there are other two that we just basically talk about later on. Uh, we shall talk about other two later in the presentation. So the germ theory here, we are talking about basically germs causing diseases. And this was the predominant theory during the 19th to the 20th century. We shall look at what that means, what the theory means. And then the epidemiological triad, this is very common. Um, and then we have the multifactorial causation, multiple host and environment factors contributing to diseases. And then we have the web of causation. This one is about, basically, this is a good theory for explaining how chronic conditions happen. Again, you have an interplay of very many factors. So let's look at each of these. Now, you need to be aware of the fact that previously, in ancient times, the understanding of what causes diseases was not backed, that understanding was not backed by science. So the discovery of microorganisms and the fact that they are responsible for certain diseases was actually a major breakthrough. And scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch played an important role in discovering microbes. And also, they played an important role in attributing certain diseases to these microbes. So they basically changed a lot of things. Um, it is on the basis of discovery of these microorganisms that you have um, the understanding that some diseases are caused by microorganisms, that you also have the development of antimicrobial drugs and antibacterial drugs, uh, antiviral drugs, and others. And also development of vaccines, uh, and then also issues to do with improvement in sanitation, improvement in water supply, and a lot of things. So this was very important in. This is actually very important when you talk about the history of epidemiology, the history of public health. And if you want to expand on your understanding on that, that's where you go. Okay? So here we are basically emphasizing that this theory was a major breakthrough because it contributed to the understanding that some diseases are caused by microbes, and as a result, you have many developments happening because of this discovery. Is the epidemiological triad. Here we're talking about three things. Triad to mean three: the host, the agent, and the environment. And then you have health in there. So the agent, this one can be a living organism or a non-living agent that can actually cause a disease. So when you talk about living agents, we're talking about biological agents, viruses, bacteria, protozoa, fungi. And then you have physical, chemical, and mechanical agents that can also still, basically, what you just need to know is that this can alter anatomical or physiological aspects of the organism. Similarly, you also have nutrients. So if you have deficits in nutrients or a lot of these nutrients, you can still have uh, health problems. And then we have the host. You with the host, we're talking about intrinsic factors or individual factors. So the host is the person who is affected by these agents. So the person can get a disease or may not get a disease, or the person can recover or may die or may recover with the residual effects, depending on these factors, their age, their sex, access to resources, ethnicity, their lifestyle, their biological aspects, the genes, immunity, and their physiology. And then we look at the environment. Um, Access to clean, unpolluted air, unpolluted water, clean and safe water, variety of food, climate, uh, the natural environment or the built environment, all these actually influence one's health. Now, when our modern understanding of causation of diseases is the fact that you have very many factors contributing to disease occurrence, and this is the multifactorial causation. Cardiovascular conditions, cancers, these ones, you can term them as non-communicable diseases or modern conditions. They are non-communicable basically. They are not caused by a single factor. Okay, for example, cancer. You can't point the cause of cancer to one thing. It's very difficult to point. If someone has cancer of the throat, you can think about their diet, you can think about their smoking, you can think about exposure to other toxins. So you may not actually know which one exactly caused this cancer. Okay, so but we recognize that there are several factors that contribute the occurrence of such certain diseases like the cancer we are talking about. So these factors do interact. Okay, do interact. So there is an interaction between the host and the environment, which when we talk about the host, we talk about their individual characteristics and also their lifestyles and the environment they stay in. All these basically interact in pathways that we may not actually discover. So when we understand that health conditions are caused by several factors, our focus can be on the factors that we can change, and those are the modifiable factors. So, if we understand that conditions are caused by multiple factors, we can do prioritization. The last one that we can talk about here, I don't know whether it is the last, the web of causation. Again, this is similar to the conditions that I've just talked about, the cancers, the cardiovascular conditions, including the coronary heart disease, hypertension, atherosclerosis, all these are examples of chronic conditions. By the time they happen, there are several factors that contribute to them. Some of them are issues to do with lifestyle, some of them are individual factors that can result into these conditions. Now, the whole point is that these factors may not contribute equally to the cause of to the cause of the condition. And later on, when you later on start looking at epidemiology, you look at uh, the sufficient cause, what a sufficient cause is. So the whole point here is that you have all these factors, but all of them do not contribute to the condition in equal measure. So it is possible that you can remove one key factor, and when you remove that key factor, you end up controlling the occurrence of the disease. Okay, so the whole point is that you can have a condition such as the myocardial infarction. Um, if you understand that this condition is caused by multiple factors, you therefore can think of multiple interventions that you can use to handle the condition. Okay, so this is the illustration here. Myocardial infarction can be caused by lifestyle habits. So, can the person change their lifestyle? Can they eat healthy? Can they exercise? Can they stop smoking? If they do that, it is likely that there will be if they eat fatty foods, for example, they can be obese, and being obese contributes to hypertension. And the hypertension contributes to changes in the walls of the arteries, especially the coronary arteries. And this is where you have the myocardial infarction happening. So if you deal with diet, physical activity, and stopping smoking, in a way you are able to deal with this problem. So the web of causation is basically that you have several factors that can cause a particular condition, and these factors are interrelated. Now, the two theories that I earlier on talked about when we were starting this presentation, these were theories before our proper understanding of what causes diseases. Okay, so before the germ theory, because the germ theory is where we have the major breakthrough. These were the theories. That's why I call them traditional theories of disease causation. So here we are talking about the humorous theory, which was developed by ancient Greek physicians, including Hippocrates. Here, the belief was that diseases are caused by of imbalances in bodily fluids, basically the humans, blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. So to treat conditions, it is about restoring the balance in the bodily fluids, including bloodletting and purging. These were the strategies there. Okay, but of course, these are not things that we are currently doing. So these are outdated theories. The miasma theory, this one also, again, it was suggested that diseases are caused by bad air. And of course, this bad air was coming from dead decaying organic matter. This definitely means that there is a problem with sanitation. And therefore, because of this bad air theory related to how diseases happen, the miasma theory, people improved their sanitation and urban planning. And when this was done, there was a reduction in communicable diseases. Okay, so the bad air linked to poor sanitation because you have dead decaying organic matter, and then improvement in sewage systems, resulting into reduction in this communicable disease. And people believed this, right? But of course, this was later on followed by the germ theory that we have looked at. So The germ theory basically helped the understanding that, you see, what was in this decaying organic matter, these microbes that are causing these diseases, things like that. And we cannot talk about disease without talking about the natural cause of disease or the natural uh, history of disease. If someone gets a particular condition, if they don't receive the treatment, what will happen? Usually, we have two phases that we can talk about: pre-pathogenesis. Um, so, before, pre means before abnormal processes happen. So, in this case, before the agent enters an individual host, this is what happened. There should be a risk, basically, a situation where you have the host and the agent. Um, so, if the agent has entered the host, then it will start to cause problems. That is the pathogenesis phase. Okay, so this pathogenesis will have different phases, starting from incubation, where the microbe has entered the host, but there are no signs and symptoms yet. And then later on, you progress to symptomatic phases. And like we said, there are three outcomes. We explain this. Um, if we intervene by giving drugs, immunization, or lifestyle changes, then the course of this disease will be altered. And then again, risk factors. These are conditions or exposures that increase the probability of a disease. These can be modifiable risk factors or unmodifiable risk factors. Non-modifiable um, issues to do with age, sex, genetics, and race. Modifiable ones are the ones to do with lifestyle habits, smoking, uh, drinking alcohol, obesity, hypertension, cholesterol level, things like that. These are risk factors that you can do something. Okay? In public health, we need to identify the people who are likely to be affected by particular conditions. So we call them risk groups. So they have high vulnerabilities. And therefore, the, the infants, the elderly, pregnant women, and individuals who have genetic predisposition can fall under risk groups. And then also have people who live in rural communities, urban slums, and polluted areas. These are also vulnerable. They are likely to get certain diseases. And then see people of low income levels, uh, people who are marginalized, disrupted families, people who are drug addicts. These are also risky groups. They are likely to get certain conditions. Usually, the approach can be that you target only people who are at a higher risk. We call them priority groups because we don't have the resources to target everyone. So we can use the limited resources to have an intervention that targets specific individuals such that we have maximum health impact.